This is the weekly review for the week of January 23rd to January 27th, as well as this week's Sunday preparation. So, coming into this week's trading, I was bullish because I was looking for us to complete this market maker buy model. So, on Monday, I was looking for longs to take out these equal highs and previous week's high, and the delivery here was absolutely beautiful. Um, so going into Monday's trading, we had a raid of the Asian low here, and ICT noted on Twitter that he was looking for price to have a Judas swing down into this fair value gap here. And he didn't trust this raid because the raid was super shallow, um, and he only wanted to enter if price um, dipped down into this M15 fair value gap and discount here. So I noted that in my journal. But then in terms of price action, we had this break in market structure here, and we're respecting bullish PD arrays on a low time frame. Came back down into this inefficiency. Didn't come back down into discount though. Then we had this intermediate term high break in market structure and return back into discount of this inefficiency here. And this trade I missed because I wasn't on the charts at about 8 o'clock. But this was a very clean trade here. When I did get on the charts, we were like past 8 o'clock. So this is the trade that I entered in on. This was a M15 fair value gap here. And I also noted this M15 order block and this fair value gap here, which I was using this dealing range from that low to that high. And I entered in at the mean threshold, and then I put my stop right below the low of this fair value gap here. And what ended up happening is a 930 Judas swing ended up taking me out, and it ended up violating this order block and taking the sell stops below this old swing low. To be honest, I'm not sure why this happened here. I mean, price did what it did, but I don't know how to particularly identify this, that all of these PD arrays here in discount of this M5 dealing range, that M15 fair value gap here, this inefficiency here, and then this order block are going to be violated, and price is going to want to come down back into this balanced price range here, and this using this inefficiency again, right? This was the inefficiency entry that I missed because I wasn't on the charts here right at 8 o'clock. And then what I also noted was that this was the M15 dealing range, and we retraced into discount of that, violating this shorter M5 dealing range. So even though I had the bias correct, I got just stopped out here, and then price immediately reversed and went to TP. And we took that original consolidation high here. And then after that, in the PM session, I noted how we had a SMT with previous week's high and the original consolidation of the market maker buy model. So I was looking for a potential power 3 short entry, but we never got any retracements into premium to get short on. So that pretty much ended the day for me on Monday. So going into Tuesday, I was anticipating potentially consolidation because we had a huge range on Monday, and typically after expansion comes consolidation, and that's what also ended up happening on this day. We had an inside day on Tuesday where previous day's high and previous day's low were not taken out, so we were inside that dealing range. And I noted this H4 breaker, which was just basically the top of the original consolidation here, as well as this hourly fair value gap. And when I got on the charts at a little bit after 8 a.m. here, this whole price action here seemed pretty suspicious to me. And when I saw this kind of impulsive move down, I kind of had a feeling that this trend line liquidity was going to get taken. So I was just basically watching for some type of short-term long entry. And that's what ended up happening here, where we took these low time frame relative equal lows and had a SMT with NASDAQ displacement up at a little bit after 9:30, so that was 9:30. We broke this intermediate term high, and then just to clean this up a little bit, I mapped this out as my dealing range from that low to that high, and this right in here was a multiple time frame inefficiency, so I bought that. Also, I was looking at this order block, so I set a limit here, and then just like on Monday, price stopped me out. We ended up taking these stops again, kind of doing a 3 drives pattern here, and then immediately it reversed after taking me out and then went to TP and eventually up here, clearing out all of the buy side from this trend line. So again here, just like on Monday, not really exactly sure why this happened. I don't know how to identify that before the fact, especially after we had a setup form here and the intermediate term high being taken out. So that's what I have in my journal. Then we had a new SMT, and price ended up displacing higher, but this displacement wasn't as clean as the previous one. There was no clean M5 fair value gap. I noted this 2-minute fair value gap in here, as well as a balanced price range. And after we broke the opening range high in lunch hour, we came down into this BPR and this order block and started trading away from it. But the rest of the PM session here was pretty much just consolidation, as expected, because Monday was such a large trading range day. So going into Wednesday's trading, I wasn't really on the charts much on Wednesday because I was very busy at work. So I just really studied this in hindsight after I got home. And we had yet another market maker buy model here where price ended up retracing down into, on the daily chart, this is Wednesday, and we came back down into this daily fair value gap here, as well as this balanced price range from this old daily fair value gap here, as well as the mean threshold of this order block. And that's what caused the big bullish reaction we had on on Wednesday rather. So after taking out Monday's low, this is where I would have been, if I was watching this live, I would have been interested. because we had a raid of liquidity. Now there was no SMT here, but when I was looking at this after the fact, I noted how we didn't get into discount. We broke market structure here with this high, and we just had a institutional order flow entry drill into this M5 Fair Valley Gap, and also touching this, the high of this order block here. But we never retraced into discount. And then after breaking market structure again here in this intermediate term high, we had an entry in discount here, but this was during the lunch hour. And that ended up then sending price higher in the PM session to take London high, or the original consolidation of the market maker buy model. And there were only low time frame entries here, low time frame institutional order flow entry drills that I just noted. So there was nothing for me on Wednesday. So on Wednesday night, after I was looking at this, I kind of was anticipating that this was going to be the low of the week because we had such a large bullish displacement away from this daily Fair Valley Gap here in blue. And also it was Wednesday, so if the low of the week is going to be formed and it's a Wednesday, that's highly likely it's going to be the low of the week. And especially after seeing this big displacement up after making the low on a Wednesday, it's highly unlikely that price is going to, on Thursday and Friday, come down and take Wednesday's low. So I was going to look for a long setup to take the intra-week high here at Monday, or Monday's high, I should say. But before I got on the charts here at 8 a.m., we had already taken Monday high. So I was just waiting to see what was going to happen. And here, this was 8:30 High Impact News, and ICT outlined a 1-minute trade here on his Twitter, and I put that in my journal. But after taking Monday high and seeing this displacement down is when I started to get interested. But this one right here was a trade that I had outlined. But the reason I didn't take this was just because the stop was so large, and I didn't really anticipate price to come down all the way 21 points. But we did eventually do that. And we even came up all the way to this breaker and higher M5 Fair Valley Gap. And then got a compound entry in here after shifting market structure here, coming back up into this Fair Valley Gap, not in premium though, and then taking this sell side. But also here we had a bullish SMT and M4 break in market structure. So because we were stuck between these two setups is why I kind of didn't end up taking anything here. I was looking at this Fair Valley Gap to take a short on, but I just had a feeling that it wasn't going to work out, especially after taking all of this sell side here. And that's what ended up happening. You wouldn't have been able to get the 1.3R here, and we ended up having a bullish SMT and breaking market structure higher, coming back down during the lunch hour into this Fair Valley Gap, taking liquidity and coming back to this order block. And then I was watching this breaker, and I just kind of was mapping this out live. And I thought that we were going to respect this breaker and trade up into the AM high, and that's what ended up happening. The Fair Valley Gap here wasn't in discount though, only the breaker. So That's what I noted for Thursday. And then going into Friday's trading, I was anticipating the high of the week to be made on Friday, continuing with the bullish momentum from Wednesday, low of the week. And initially I noted this previous day high SMT, and I mapped out this trade live. I was watching this, and we had 8:30 high impact news. So I skipped an entry here, but this trade ended up playing out for 1.3R off of the failure swing of previous day's high. Then we had a failure swing of the London low with displacement up, taking out the December 14th high, which is one of the highs that ICT noted as a draw on liquidity. So this one right here. And we had that SMT and break in market structure here. So I took a short setup here. But looking back at this, because I was also thinking that since we made the high of the week on Friday here, this could be a weekly power 3 setup. And took a short in here and got stopped out because price then came back into this bullish M15 fair value gap order block, and we just hit that mean threshold of the order block perfectly here. Broke market structure and had displacement up. So took a third loss this week here, and basically for the remainder of the PM session we kept respecting bullish PD arrays, coming back down into this fair value gap here, order block, and then ended up trading higher to take the consequent encroachment of the December 13th candle, which is another level that ICT mapped out, this right here. And then right at 3 p.m. we had the power 3 setup play where we took that short-term low, came back up into a fair value gap in premium, and then displaced lower. So this was definitely a rough week. But we'll see what ends up happening. Going into next week, we actually don't have much days for trading because we have FOMC on Wednesday and then non-farm payroll on Friday. So this is going to be one of those crazy news weeks that probably by Wednesday's New York session, not going to be able to get any clean setups. So on the daily chart, I'm still looking at these equal highs. Now that we've traded up into these levels, the consequent encroachment of this rejection block here, there doesn't seem to be much in terms of PD arrays besides this old high. But if we take this, I think it's really likely that we're going to also come up and take September's high. So this still looks incredibly bullish. And I just noted this daily fair value gap here. With this being the mean threshold and this set of relative equal lows. So I'm going to probably try to look for some type of a long setup to take previous week's high unless it does that on Sunday's trading. But to be honest, there's nothing like super clear in terms of PD arrays besides this daily fair value gap and these equal lows to take. So ICT said on Twitter he's going to wait until Monday 9:30 open to determine his bias. So I'm probably just going to be following along with him this week because the only clear thing I see is these equal highs. So I'll just basically follow him. So yeah, we'll see what ends up happening this week.